No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Ow, 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 ow. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Ooh, the gym. Old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, fly fishing guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah. Try it sometime.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, you literally never know what you're going to talk about on a show. You're going to wake up, what's going to be happening, and we've got some breaking news. Welcome on in, Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. Jay was supposed to be enjoying a couple of days with his family here. I was supposed to be getting ready for a basketball game tonight at the Air Force Academy, and lo and behold, breaking news. I believe both our outlets were the first to report, Jay Tust, Bronco Nation News, KTVB, that Dirk Koetter is returning as offensive coordinator at Boise State. We will get to the basketball game, obviously a big game tonight for the Broncos. We will get to that here in a little bit, but I believe the 227 of you that are watching, and that number is still climbing, want us to start with Dirk Koetter. And got to be honest, Jay, he wasn't one of the names on my original list, but as they went through the process, I think you heard of all the things that they were looking for. Somebody with same offense, same terminology, spring practice starting in less than 2 weeks. How could they get somebody in there and make this thing work? And it's a 1-year deal. It's a 1-year rental almost, but similar to Andy getting him to come out and help out at the end of a couple of years ago, Dirk Koetter saving the day yet again to come back and lead the offense in 2024.
Man, this is pretty shocking, BJ. This is pretty shocking, I would have to say. I didn't necessarily expect Dirk Koetter to be a part of this process, but now he is, and now he is going to take over Boise State's offense. It's incredible. Spencer Danielson, he really hit a couple of home runs when he went out and tried to hire some assistant coaches here, and you look at what he's able to do, and it's pretty impressive. Pretty
No
impressive.
No doubt about it. I was not expecting this to be the guy, and I know fans are super fired up, super excited, and I mean, it's a very intriguing, unique thing, Jay Tust here. There's some positives to it, certainly. I think there might be some potential drawbacks. Only here for 1 year in terms of recruiting. I mean, he didn't do a single thing of recruiting when he was here before, and now a guy like Malachi Nelson knows he's only got him for 1 year, and then he's got another coordinator coming in. So I'm not trying to poo-poo it right off the bat. I think there's a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons to be excited about it, Jay, but I do think there's some multiple layers to this thing.
Yeah, there are some multiple layers to this thing. And like you said, it's going to be a 1 year deal, right? And I think what that means, like given the timing of all of this, right? Like Bush left late kind of in this whole process. And now Dirk can come in and really be a steady force for 1 year. He knows these players. He knows this team. And now it's going to give them basically a year to find out who is next. I don't know if that's like exactly the correct way to phrase it, BJ, but being a 1 year deal, Boise State for a long time has pushed for multiple year deals for their coordinators and really a lot of their assistant coaches, but definitely their coordinators. And so the fact that sources are telling us it's a 1 year deal would suggest that this is, again, a year to figure out kind of what is next, to use Jeremiah Dickey's slogan, what's next. And, you figure there are some options on staff, a Matt Miller, a Nate Potter, things like that. But time will really only tell. What we do know right now is Dirk Koetter will run Boise State's offense in 2024, a massive, massive coup, I would say, for Spencer Danielson.
Yeah, obviously everybody remembers, him going 26-10 from 98 to 2000 as head coach. But what he did more recently, coming back and saving that offense there at the end of the season, was an analyst on staff, and then I think was kind of enjoying retirement. And as I said, though, he did no recruiting. I'll be very curious to hear. And my understanding is that Spencer Danielson is, and they're going to come out and make this very clear. He's probably just here till December again, and it's a 1 year deal. I guess you can never say never, but I think the plan, Jay, as you said, is for him just to help out. It was again, spring ball starting in 2 weeks. And my understanding is they talked to a lot of good candidates. I'll be very curious kind of why they settled in this direction. But the process, I think, took a little longer than some folks thought. And a lot of fans were getting kind of nervous and a little, restless, waiting to see what was happening. Spring ball starts on March 11th. But again, Jay, when you heard, when we kind of put the tea leaves together of, okay, you need an offense that is going to be similar. You ain't running a new offense in 2 weeks. You needed terminology to be similar. You knew somebody that kind of knew the program, knew the building, whatever. And that list started dwindling. And I never really thought of Dirk Koetter. I didn't think he'd be interested. But once you kind of put 2 and 2 together, at least for this season, for this offense, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I actually saw Dirk Koetter at the basketball game the other day. And I was tipped off about absolutely nothing. I joked around about him coming down to McCall to watch a basketball game, and that was like it. And now I go back and I'm like, well, maybe he was on campus for a reason, I guess, at this point. But I just think that the continuity, the experience that you get out of this hire is just a big deal. And again, you go back, BJ, and you look at now Spencer Danielson has had to hire 3 assistant coaches, right? He brought in Ball State's defensive coordinator. He brought in Stacy Collins, who many would argue is one of the best special teams coaches in the game, and got him to come away from Penn State in order to return to Boise State. And now he brings Dirk Koetter out of, quasi-retirement, if you will, to come back and run Boise State's offense. And so just I don't know. I think we said this at the beginning. Be patient. We saw how aggressive Spencer Danielson was with his previous 2 hires. I was not predicting Dirk Koetter at that point in time, but I was very, very confident that Bronco Nation would not be disappointed. Well, I don't think Bronco Nation's disappointed. Maybe we know what caused the earthquake in Boise yesterday. Now we'll have to find out the exact time that this deal was agreed to.
Well, we did see this morning, the team must have found out because there were some cryptic tweets and some things going on this morning, and the team found out, and then it started to leak out. And I had 2 or 3 people right away telling me the same name, and I'm like, wait, what? And it definitely surprised me a little bit. But as Justin Ellis says here, Jay, give Dirk a season to coach up Nate or Matt and let them move into the OC position next season. Sounds like that, whether they come out and admit that or not, that might, you could very easily see that being the plan, right?
Yes, I could see that being I think it is the plan, but that's just my opinion. I don't exactly know. I just think that your instincts kind of scream at you in situations like this, and that is what the instincts would suggest, knowing what I know.
Okay, so given all this, I mean, just how unique is this, Jay? Just when you hear it's likely going to be for 1 year, Spencer's probably going to come out and say it's for 1 year. Again, in this day and age in college football, you want to win now. I get it. No one's guaranteed past a year anyway. But I think it's just not something every day that you find out in March. Okay, I'll do it for 1 year. And like I said, this affects a lot of players on the roster that have more than 1 year here. It's just a unique situation that he's like, yeah, I'll help you out again, but I really am done in December.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it, though. I mean, like, you know what you're getting into. And, if this is a case where what we think is going to happen, his grooming of or coaching of, maybe the next guy that's going to call the Boise State offense is going to be just as important as, being out recruiting at this point, So, I think that there is going to be a vision there. I think that things will be very clear. And there have been kind of situations like this in the past a little bit, BJ. I mean, when Brian Harsin, correct me if I'm wrong here, when Brian Harsin initially hired Zach Hill, I believe that's who it was. Brian Harsin called plays that first year, and then eventually Zach Hill took over the offense, right? And even later on down the line, there were points in times where Zach Hill was the OC at Boise State for a couple of years, and then Eric Keesaw became the co-OC, and then coincidentally, later that year, Zach Hill left for Arizona State and Eric Keesaw became the OC. So I think that things like this, that they're thought of, the coach thinks of these things and how they're going to play out down the road. And so I don't think this is a super unique situation. I just think it's the most recent situation.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's just, and again, everyone thinks a coach is going to be or player is going to be here for 3-4 years. That doesn't seem to happen. And so maybe just it's a 1 year contract for everybody pretty much. Right. So, I mean, you never know. And this does give time to plan. But okay, Jade. So Dirk Koetter, this offense, what we've seen from Dirk Koetter, what we know of Dirk Koetter, what we know of Ashton Genty, now Malachi Nelson. How do you see Dirk Koetter fitting in with this offense?
I mean, look what happened when Dirk Koetter took over 2 years ago. They ran the ball effectively. He developed Taylon Green. If you recall, the first game where Dirk was the play caller, they trailed by a couple touchdowns at halftime against San Diego State, and then they rally back and win that game with something like 35 unanswered points. I can't remember exactly in the second half of that game. In that game, Taylon Green threw the ball like 8 times, and then by the end of the season, he was a more than competent passer that could really stretch the field. And, Dirk, I think an area where Dirk is going to thrive too, you saw a guy like, and I know he's no longer here, Eric McAllister really took off when Dirk became the play caller, right? I think Dirk has an eye for talent and getting guys involved. I believe in the past that Dirk Koetter was high on a guy like Austin Bolt, And so he has an eye for that and how to utilize that talent. And so I think they're going to run the ball. I think you're going to see, guys that should be utilized in the offense. And man, the cupboard's full for him to come in. I don't think that if you're Dirk, I don't think that you come in and want to go through like this whole like rebuild situation. And that's 100% my opinion. I have no idea.
Yeah,
but I think he sees the pieces that are in place. I think he sees that he can help this program that means a lot to him be successful, and he's willing to be that guy for another year. BJ, he's elite. Like he is elite. Like now that Dirk Koetter is the offensive coordinator at Boise State, I think you could darn well argue Boise State is one of the best offensive coordinators in the country now.
I mean, and you hate this, already be going there, Jay, but like the playoff comes into the expectations for this team are already super high, and now you bring in a guy that you expect to make this offense go. Again, in a 1 year scenario, you only have Ashton Genty for 1 more year. You don't. Some of these guys, I mean, it seems like one of the most perfect fits. I mean, would I have loved to have seen a guy like Mike Sanford come in here? Would I have loved to see? I think there would have been a lot of positive things you could have done. And we don't know how the process kind of played out behind the scenes. But for what they have right now for 1 year, it is hard to argue that Dirk Koetter's on this team not going to do a good job with this offense.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree. And I think that, like you said earlier, I'm also confident in knowing that like he wasn't the only option, and there were some good options. And Spencer Danielson feels like this is the best option for the immediate future, but also the distant future. Is I guarantee he's a guy that has a plan. As we've seen previous head coaches at Boise State have a plan for how they're going to navigate certain situations.
Well, I want to thank a couple sponsors here real quick, Jay, and we'll continue this discussion. I do want to get to some of our comments as well from some of the fans here. Lithia Ford of Boise, they got 5 NIL deals, including 3 football players. And LithiaFordBoise.com, you can view their full inventory of vehicles. You can do what the Raines family did. We found 2 we liked. We did all the research on their website, went in, test drove them. We were on our way with our F-150. So support the sponsors, support folks that are supporting Boise State athletics, and you can get more information, view their full inventory of vehicles at LithiaFordBoise.com. Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com, the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. We appreciate their support of Bronco Nation News as well. They are hiring, and they'll give you free food and half your wages the very next day after your shift. I mean, how do you beat that? So if you're looking for a new job, get more information at TacoBellWorks.com. And again, they've given a lot of money to Boise State, and we appreciate their support here at Bronco Nation News as well. The Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Check them out, the Blue and Orange Store. Free shipping, any order over $40, or if you're in the Boise area, just go to the Boise Town Square Mall. They're on the 2nd floor next to Pro Image. All your shirts, hats, you name it, they got it at the Blue and Orange Store. And if you need a job, check out Transportation Compliance Service. Complete trucking management, all the paperwork and forms and DOT overweight permits, everything you need to get out there towing that first load in no time, they can help you out. So if you've never thought about the trucking industry, highly recommend it. It's a good industry and well-paying, and you can get more information at transcompservice.com. Also want to throw a quick shout out while we have great viewership here. Our pool party is 2 weeks from Friday. We hope folks will join us in Las Vegas if you're going down for the basketball tournament, and we are going to talk basketball here in a little bit. Raines at BroncoNationNews.com. You can send me an email. We'll waive your $50 cover charge. Free entry to Stadium Swim for the BNN KTIK pool party. That is 2 weeks from Friday. We'll be out there all day doing live broadcasts, a raffle for some free stuff, all kinds of stuff. So if you're going to Vegas for the conference tournament and you're interested, email me, Raines at BroncoNationNews.com, and maybe able to get Dirk Koetter to play in this tournament, Jay Tust. I know he's a big golf guy, and he was almost going to do it last year till he was out of town. But May 31st, Timberstone Golf Course in Caldwell. We're benefiting the Idaho Youth Sports Commission with our 3rd annual Bronco Nation News Golf Tournament. So we are only right now taking whole sponsorships, and if you played last year, we'll give you your spot back and reserve it for you. So email me at Raines, RAINS, BroncoNationNews.com if you are interested in a whole sponsorship. If you buy a whole sponsorship, that does give you the option to buy a foursome before we sell out also. So that's one way to lock in your spot. If you played last year or the year before, email me and you can get advanced reservation. We're expecting this to sell out. We got 8:30 in the morning and 1:30 in the afternoon. We're getting 64 foursomes. We're going to sell this thing out and have a lot of fun with some of your favorite players and coaches. So May 31st, Timberstone Golf Course, RSVP, Raines at BroncoNationNews.com. Got a ton going on. Jay and I are both getting texts and returning texts, and tons of fans, friends, boosters texting me, shocked, wondering what's going on. I can't believe it. And it's one of those crazy mornings, Jay.
It is. The excitement's real, though. The guy, since Spencer Danielson took over, he just hasn't disappointed, man. Like the excitement is real. So he did it again, and now Boise State has their offensive coordinator moving forward, and he's a proven commodity that gets to work with Ashton Genty. And in the past, he liked to compare Ashton Genty to Maurice Jones-Drew, I know, and there are just some good stories about that. And that's back when Ashton was only a true freshman contributing on this offense. And so I'm just excited to see what they can dial up now. But when Bush left, I thought Bush was a great play caller. And you go back and you look at the Mountain West Conference Championship game, and man, that dude was near perfect calling plays in that contest. I mean, he was on fire in that game. And you go back to those moments and you're just like, man, what could have been? And now, considering what they're able to bring in with him leaving, we no longer have to ask. We can go into the future and be excited about what's going to happen, because you just figure the continuity should be off the charts for Boise State with the roster, with the talent, with the play calling, with the play caller, all of it.
I was a little, the Malachi Nelson hype and everything for this offense, Jay. I was kind of saying, I've been kind of saying
That's
hey,
big.
but I've been saying let's just take a deep breath. Like this
Yes.
kid's a freshman. Like I think a lot of people were expecting this team to score 40 points a game right away and just be an amazing team, amazing offense. And I think there's going to be so much hype. And now Robert says, 50 points per game possibly with this offense. Like, I mean, and I get it, Robert. Like a lot of folks are thinking the same thing, Jay. But I hope fans and media and everybody doesn't hype this whole thing up too much with Dirk coming back now, that it's just going to be, unless they do score 50 a game and go undefeated, that it's going to be seen as, some sort of disappointment.
I'm going to give Bronco Nation a break today. Go crazy today. go crazy for a day, but then maybe take a deep breath and just kind of, dial it back just a little bit and be reasonable with expectations. But when you do bring in a talent like Malachi Nelson, who is coming to Boise State for a reason. He needs to be developed. He needs somebody to trust in him, right? Take time with him. And now you have one of the all-time greats devoting a year of that to Malachi Nelson. It's pivotal. That being said, I'm old enough to remember when Dirk was the offensive coordinator here last time, and he said very good things about Maddox Madsen that made us all go, who's Maddox Madsen? At that point in time. That was before Maddox even ever played in a football game. So I know that he has confidence in Maddox. Can't wait to see what he does with Malachi Nelson and the rest of that quarterback room.
And based on what I had heard, a lot of when Dirk Koetter was the OC, and anytime Andy or any defensive coach, whatever, anytime anybody, Jay, wanted to kind of tell Dirk Koetter how things should be run, it was kind of like, hey, I'm coaching the offense or I ain't going to be here. And I think Spencer – maybe I'm wrong on that, but I had basically heard that Dirk ended up having pretty much his 100% say on that offense 2 years ago. And I think that Spencer seems like the kind of defensive guy that will let his offensive coach and his offensive staff coach offense. And I feel like Dirk Koetter is the perfect guy to come in and say, you handle the offense, we'll handle the defense, and we'll see you on game day.
Listen, I know things change once everything once the team gets into the heat of the battle. Once you lose a game, things change, and I get that. But for right now, I think a big reason why being on Spencer Danielson's staff is so attractive, whether you're a special teams coach, whether you're a safeties coach, whether you are the offensive coordinator, I think that Spencer Danielson is going to give his coaches autonomy. He has said in the past he's going to hire good people and empower good people. And if he holds true to that, that means that his assistant coaches will have the necessary autonomy to go out and do their jobs. And I think that's a reason why even a guy like Dirk Koetter comes back for this. Is he doesn't want to come back here to be told what to do and all this stuff. He wants to come here to share his knowledge and attack this thing. And I think that he'll be empowered to do so, just like every other assistant on Boise State staff.
What do you make of the lack of continuity, though, at offensive coordinator at Boise State? And it looks like that's obviously going to continue here. I mean, Dirk Koetter, I guess you go back to fifth now, but I mean, he's going to be the sixth offensive coordinator since 2019, which means you'll have theoretically a seventh. And I guess if you count, I guess you stay at six if you count him. But going into next year, you're going to have likely another offensive coordinator. Right. And like I said, maybe it's just part of the deal. It's 1-year deals. It's all this. It's fine. And if you hire a guy in December, maybe it's much easier to get his offense in there by March. But, maybe that's just Boise State. But it really would be nice if you could find a guy that was here for, more than 1 or 2 years. And it just seems like this is going to be another kind of stopgap situation.
Well, let's kind of go back and break this down a little bit. And I guess we go back to the Harsin era for that matter. So Mike Sanford's the play caller, right? In that 2014 season, he leaves for an incredible job opportunity, and they promote Eli Drinkowitz to that position, right?
Yep.
So that was an internal promotion. After that, was Zach Hill immediately after Drink?
Believe so, yes.
I believe so, because I believe that's why Harsin called plays for a year. But
because Zach Hill did have Rippon for at least a year because he named his kid after him.
Right. So you have Zach Hill as an external hire. So, but still the continuity was Brian Harsin calling plays. So then Zach Hill leaves and you have Eric Keesaw, internal promotion, internal hire, right? So a lot of these guys, that staff leaves, and then Tim Plow comes in from the outside. Get that. Dirk Koetter replaces him. I internal extra. I don't know what you want to call that. I mean, he was on staff at that point in time and had great knowledge of the city. So then Boise State goes out and they get Bush Hamden. I guess what I'm saying is it's not like every single year they're hitting the reset button. They're even though the title of offensive coordinator is changing.
Yeah.
There still is continuity with who is, stepping into that role for the most part. And I guess what I'm saying is if that actually is how it plays out, hypothetical, Dirk's here for a year, Matt Miller, again, hypothetically gets promoted. Well, Matt's been here for like 6 years or longer or whatever. You throw in his playing days. The dude's been here for over a decade. So
sure. I
know the title is changing, and that's not insignificant, but there still is a plan and continuity with the past and the future, I guess.
Somebody was asking about Zach Hill naming his kid. I think they already liked the name Brett, but it did happen that they had a son named Brett during when Brett Rippon was the quarterback here, I believe. So there is a little bit of truth to that. Paul wants Ashton. What?
I think they were thinking that he named him Rip.
Oh no, it's Brett. Yeah. I want Ashton Genty to be on the Heisman Trophy stage at the end of the season. Do those odds increase now with Dirk Koetter being here?
Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I think they do. I'm going to take that back. I don't know if they changed from when if Bush Hamden was still the offensive coordinator. I don't know if they changed drastically one way or the other, but when there wasn't an offensive coordinator throughout the hiring process, I would say those odds took a dip. Now that Dirk is the guy, they at least get back to where Bush was, if not better.
And the rest of the staff knows him too. You're bringing in a guy a week and a half before spring ball starts, but I mean, I think almost every coach was here when he was here still, right? Didn't every offensive coach come back?
Yes. Yeah, Tim Keene, Nate Potter, Matt Miller. I mean, the only one is the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator, and Bush Hamden, who he's replacing, right?
People are saying Bush over Dirk.
I take that back. Running backs coach, right? James Montgomery's only been here a year. Is that correct?
First year? Was that, or has he been here 2 years? I think it was 2.
Is it 2? Okay. All right.
Remember. Maybe not. Maybe it's been 1.
Maybe time's just passing on me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
But either way, almost the entire staff, if that is the case.
So that makes it come in easy. And you saw all the emojis from the players and stuff, man. You got to think this fires up the players.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They're another, they get to learn from an all-time great, a guy with NFL ties, NFL connections. Like, there's no way that this does not fire them up.
All right, we're getting 7 people right away telling us it was only his first year last year. So
yeah,
you're right. You're right.
I just utilize this little thing called Google and Google search 1 year for James.
I cannot wait to hear Spencer Danielson talk about this and kind of how they are going to publicly frame this, Jay, in terms of, is Dirk Koetter going to do a single bit of recruiting? I mean, last year when they had their weekend where the coaches went out recruiting, or whenever Dirk Koetter was here the first time, the other coaches left and went out recruiting. He literally went and played golf in McCall. Like, yeah. I'm very curious, like, and I mean, how this is going to be framed publicly, and how do you add to your roster for next season and add to the quarterback position or wherever else when you can't say, or maybe they're going to come out and say, yeah, Matt Miller's our OC in 2025, or maybe they come out and say, or maybe they're at least telling that to recruits. But I'll be curious how this is framed publicly.
Well, I believe two parts to this. I don't think Dirk Koetter would do this for money or needs to do this for money for that matter. But I do think that has a little bit of a factor in what you get out of him or ask him to do, I guess, right? So last time he did this, like, he was an offensive analyst where, those guys don't, again, money not the reason why he's doing that at that point in time. And then he got like a prorated salary when he became the offensive coordinator. I'm curious on the setup of this deal, the framework of this deal. I mean, if he takes over for Bush and is making darn near $500,000 to be the offensive coordinator at Boise State, I think some of the things you ask him to do could be different than his previous.
The money budgeted. Time. I mean, give it to him for the year. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I mean, I agree.
Maybe he shouldn't get quite as much. So you're right. If he's not going to recruit or he's not going to do some of this, and it's a 1 year, maybe he gets $350 instead of $450 or something.
I don't know. I guess time will tell once we see those figures or the expectations or whatever it is. But I just think what you're going to get out of Dirk Koetter, even if it is only for 1 year, is well worth it. I think it's going to be pivotal to Malachi Nelson's development, Maddox Madsen's development, any quarterback on that roster. The new kids coming in, things like that. Like this will be a year that, I mean, if he's not, let's just say this, if he's not out on the road recruiting, but he gets extra time to spend with those quarterbacks to make sure that they're developing. I don't see anything wrong with that, man.
Our title sponsor, Andy Rowe. And again, support this guy. There would be no Bronco Nation news without Rowe Painting. We appreciate Andy Rowe. He says, incredible news, just incredible. Let the dude live in his cabin in McCall and golf in the summer and send the young guys out to recruit. So can't really disagree with that. And again, rowepaint.com. Check them out, folks.
Andy,
there you go.
Has never steered us wrong. So I'm going to go with Andy.
Although somebody did respond and asked if he's learned how to make a free throw yet based on his commercial. Come on, Andy. That is true here.
Hey,
we need a free throw contest with him and Johnny Ball. Him and Johnny Ball game. Both.
You guys aren't paying attention to the commercial. Apparently, he's not made to shoot free throws. He's made to do. He's made to do what he does really good, right? Like that's the story of the commercial.
Yes,
I see it. I've only seen it 784 times on this show.
Yes, that's right. Probably more than that. And it's great. We appreciate Rowe Paint, Andy Rowe, of course, our title sponsor. I do in a minute here at some point, Jay, want to switch over to basketball for a few minutes while we have you.
Let's do it.
But any final thoughts? We have 345 people still watching this, and I'm sure we'll lose half of them when we switch over to see, here's the answer, Jay. Andy Rowe is better in the paint.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That is the answer. I think you've already found the production value for next year's commercial.
There you go. That's perfect right there, Bronco 130. And I know I'm sure we'll lose some of you when we switch to basketball here in a minute. I wish we wouldn't. But just your final thoughts on Dirk Koetter, Jay. Anything we haven't said yet? Or
no.
Get your popcorn ready, man. This spring ball, this season, we're already super excited about it, but it's going to be excitement at an all-time high here, man.
It will be. I think I've said it all so far, at least because that's what we know. BJ, great hire. Excited for the program because this is good for the program.
All right, man, let's take a quick 90-second timeout and talk a little basketball. There is a big game tonight. The Broncos are right behind me, I believe, having breakfast. The bus has already pulled up, so they're getting ready to head to the Air Force Academy for shoot-around. We'll talk a little basketball here and maybe dibble back into football at the end. We'll see. Don't go anywhere. Back in 90 seconds here on Bronco Nation News. All Bronco Nation News broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowepaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowepaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowepaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowepaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. Jay, I think there is history of football news overshadowing basketball news in this town. And that's the first thing I thought of this morning when I was literally walking out of my hotel room door with all my equipment, getting ready to do the show. And then I get the barrage of calls and texts from my sources saying what was happening. I'm going to sit back down for a few more minutes. And I just kind of thought, here we go again. And tonight's game, certainly not, the hype of Saturday's game against New Mexico or the Mountain West champion. If this happened, the day of the semifinals of the tournament or something. But Boise State trying to win their 4th game in a row. And it took us 34 minutes to get talking about it here. I mean, that's just the way it works sometimes, but still is a fairly important game tonight for the basketball team.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, I know we said we were done talking about football, and it's You're right, man. It's weird how there's breaking news or something that always just kind of pops up on a big basketball day. Bush Hamden leaving, Dirk Koetter getting hired. Other things have happened too along the way. I will say it is funny. Colt Fulton. I don't know. Did you see this tweet from Colt Fulton? Apparently on Saturday, February 10th at 1 p.m., he texted Dirk Koetter, I guess it's time to come back, and he just tweeted out, "I called it." So that's kind of funny. But anyways, yeah, the basketball team out on the road at Air Force, and a game that they need. I don't want to call every game a big game, but a game that they have to have in order to stay on track. And I think that, well, actually, UBJ, I believe that you tweeted this out, that Tyson Degenhart and the guys saw what happened when Air Force beat New Mexico, and it kind of, refocused them to take care of business in Wyoming. Well, I'm assuming that's the same message today. If now they're actually playing Air Force, who just won at the Pit, an extremely difficult challenge, so they won't overlook them. And it's just crazy. It is just crazy to me, man. Boise State blows out Air Force by 38. The same Air Force team that has now won at UNLV by 32 and won at the Pit. It's
and those are their only 2 wins in the conference.
Those are their only 2 wins in the conference. Like two really, really good wins, both on the road. So I guess if anything, you're lucky to get them at home. I guess.
Yeah, and they actually, Jay, piped in. I don't know how they did it, but they actually piped in on the actual TVs on the bus the last minute or two of that game. It literally was the perfect timing while they were busing. And if anyone's ever been to Laramie, their hotel, you could almost walk to the arena. It's literally a 2-minute bus ride. And it was literally the last minute of that game. The entire team, coaching staff, all were watching. I heard they were hooting and hollering. I mean, they were getting into the game a little bit. And now they see that they have to play them tonight. There's a little bit of news, Jay. There's a wildfire on campus. They are keeping the campus closed during the day to the general public, but at 4:00, if you have a ticket to the game and those working the game, media, so to speak, at 4:00, they are opening up Clune Arena to fans. So there will be fans. There was only about 1,000 at their game against UNLV, so it's not like they're going to have a packed house tonight by any means, Jay. But there will be, after some worry that they might have to play in front of an empty arena, kind of COVID style tonight, they are going to have some fans back in there. And Jay, you look at the net ranking, Boise State up another spot today to number 31, a season high in the net ranking. And look at these last 2 weeks. I think they've gone up 18 spots in the last 17 days with some of these blowout wins. And you go back to that after the Utah State loss to where they are now. And I know they're beating up on bad teams, but that's what the net ranking is, and they're doing what they're supposed to. And you look, Jay, at the big picture here, and I know some folks, I get texts every day from friends, whoever's why is Boise State not getting more love in this bracketology? Why are they not higher up? You look at their resumes, and they're very similar to a lot of these other teams in the Mountain West. And I think a lot of it was, I put up another tweet, Jay, again, probably one of the most tweets that I was proud about, then no one saw it because 5 minutes later the Dirk Koetter stuff came out. But I looked at all the 6 contenders where they started in the net and where they are now, and every other team started about where they are almost. I mean, New Mexico started at 36, San Diego State started at 24, Utah State 34, Colorado State started at 7, and Nevada started at 21. And all these teams have about held steady where they were. New Mexico's up 10, San Diego State up 6, Utah State's up 5, and then you have Colorado State and Nevada are actually down 20 spots from where they started. Boise State started the first day in the net at 131. Boise State is up 100 spots in the net ranking since it first came out. And so I feel like the hype all year has been on these other teams, Jay, and they're kind of doing what they're staying steady. But Boise State has continued to make this massive improvement, and I don't think that folks have realized that their rankings and their resume are right on par with these other teams.
Yeah, it's obviously people pay attention to the net, right? And the net up until now wasn't probably giving Boise State their due. But I also think that Boise State's flipped the script a little bit. You saw New Mexico and some of these teams out of conference, pummel some teams, and it paid off with their net ranking. And now Boise State, it almost feels like it is all right, if that's the way you want it, we're taking we're going to take the gloves off, and we're not going to beat San Jose State by 12. We're going to beat them by 32. And it's unfortunate because I don't think that this one way or the other reveals, how good this basketball team is, but they're playing the game They've blown out some teams that are lesser competition, and now all of a sudden they've made a massive rise in the net rankings. And I mean, from an individual standpoint too, man, Boise State's got some dudes that are playing really well right now, BJ. I mean, you want to look at what Max Rice is done in the month of February. He's shooting 48.7% from three in the month of February. That's tied for 34th best in the country, second in the Mountain West for anybody that shot at least 33s in the month of February. Now, I know you might say 34th best in the country doesn't seem too great. There are thousands of players in the NCAA, right? To be that high is significant. And Max has been one of the best shooters in all of college basketball during the month of February. Speaking of shooting efficiencies, Tyson Degenhart. BJ, there have been 918 players in the NCAA that have attempted at least 60 shots during the month of February, right? 918. Tyson ranks 9th on that list in shooting percentage this month at 65.7%. He's a ridiculous 74% from two, 41% from three, 86% from the free throw line. He's averaging 22 points per game this month, BJ. I do think it is time, considering Boise State is tied for first place, to start talking about Tyson Degenhart in the Mountain West Player of the Year race. And we
can talk about it. I think he should be in the conversation, but I think that the hype of Ladie and Grant Osobor are probably too high.
Absolutely. He's probably a distant third at this point, and I get that. But hey, he's third in my opinion. And I think as you've seen New Mexico, Colorado State slide down the standings, hey, whether it be Jalen House, Donovan Dent, Isaiah Stevens, all of those guys are Mountain West Player of the Year caliber, right? Yeah. But to win that award, you almost always have to contend for the title. And right now, those two teams are just going to have a tough time contending for a title. They need to win out, and they need a lot of help. So I think right now, if you're asking me my pecking order, it's Ladie at 1A, Osobor at 1B, and then you have Degenhart behind them. But Degenhart right now, I would argue, is playing as good as anyone in the league. At this point in time, during the month of February, he's playing as good, if not better, than anyone else in the league.
Certainly a first team all level type player. I mean, there's 7, 8, 9, 10 guys deserving of first team, but I do think if New Mexico, if New Mexico continues to falter here, I'm not sure you can put any of those guys on the first team.
That's what I mean. They're kind of trending in the wrong direction as a team. I mean, they're 20-7 now, and that is here. It's so funny because there are fans from, whether it be New Mexico fans towards Boise State fans towards New Mexico, where they get upset with each other. Hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Look at the greater picture here. Like, everybody, guys, you want New Mexico to be high. You want New Mexico to make the NCAA tournament. If you really did break it down, though, I do think you would find some holes in New Mexico's NCAA tournament resume at this point. But again, you do want them to put themselves in a position to get to the NCAA tournament because it's best for the conference.
Yeah. And I had a little thing that I found on the bracketologist website where you can put the resumes right next to each other. And maybe I'll save that for Friday. I mean, after the Utah State game, Jay, a lot of fans, and rightfully so, maybe based with how those two losses went on the road, but I think a lot of people were, oh, here comes the February slide, or here's this. And there was some negativity coming in, but I kept the optimism because I saw they had this 4-game stretch coming up. We saw who the other teams had to play in the league. And I mean, Jay, through 3 games, you literally could not have asked for more. Not only are you winning these games, you're blowing these teams out. You're improving your metrics. BartTorvik.com, since the day of the San Jose game, when Boise State got back for these last 3 games, essentially, Boise State has the number 5 offense in the country the last 3 games during this 10-day stretch. So Roddy Anderson's coming on. You mentioned Max hitting shots, Buzo's hitting shots, and the bench. The bench has come on. We've gotten great minutes you've seen for these guys from Cam Martin and Jace Whiting continues to make big shots and knock down threes. Keene and Meadow both getting an opportunity now. I mean, they went from earlier this season where they literally had 4 guys score against San Jose State and the bench barely playing in some of these games, to now having 9 guys that you feel pretty confident can go out there and help you. And at elevation again tonight, you're probably going to need the bench to help you out again tonight.
I think one thing that's important about the bench, though, is to see those guys come off excited to make an impact, not like, okay, how do I get into the flow of the game? And you're starting to see the demeanor, the attitude of RJ Keene, which we hyped up, way back when we thought he was going to be a part of their rotation at the beginning of the season, and it's taken a little while longer. But you see Keene step on the floor now, and I feel like you see the attitude that we knew he could bring to this team. You see Cam Martin really starting to, I think he's long been embracing his role as a passer, but now it's like a playmaking passer, right? Like these guys are really starting to lean in and own their roles. And that's why maybe we haven't seen this team peak yet. And if we are talking about a team that has done what Boise State has done that hasn't peaked yet, yikes.
Well, in closing, Jay, I mean, one game to go. The 3 games are nice, but none of these 3 mean nothing if they go lay an egg tonight at Air Force.
Right.
But if they're able to finish strong, get another, just win. I don't think you carried too much at this point with what you've already done on this 3-game stretch about trying to improve the metrics and all that. You're in a pretty good spot, so you just want to win. But if you can, win by double digits and keep this thing rolling.
Yeah.
I mean, I already looked on the map today. Unless there's more, Jay, that they haven't released yet, Saturday's game's already almost sold out. I counted 50 tickets left for Saturday's game, and maybe that's because they haven't put them all on sale yet. I don't know. But I mean, if you win today, 6 p.m. on a Saturday, one of the final 2 home games, and I believe with the 9 p.m. game for senior night, Jay, the better crowd, the better atmosphere, fans are going to choose Saturday's game to come to. I think Saturday could be electric, man, and this team just continues to steamroll forward. I think you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves, and you hope the team certainly is not focusing on this game. But about 9 o'clock tonight, 9:15 tonight on the post-game show, it could be a just 3 days of hype looking ahead to Saturday.
Yeah. I will say this. If there is any positive about the way the net rankings are currently emphasizing what is ultimately margin of victory, you look at Fresno State, or what San Diego State did at Fresno State. You look at what Nevada did at San Jose State. You look at what Boise State has done in some of their recent games. You get to watch high caliber basketball until about the end of a game, because there is no longer just you have no room to slip up. Like I feel like it heightens everyone's urgency, right?
Yep.
You know that you can't just like do enough to win a game anymore. You have to go and you have to play your best from start to finish and go do some work. And so when you're going on the road and we talk about these trap games and things like that, I think it almost eliminates that, because whether Boise State will say it or they would never say it. I'm not going to even say we'll say it or not. They won't say it. And I get why they wouldn't say it. I would assume, BJ, like they're not just worried about winning this game tonight. Like they know that they have to take care of business tonight, meaning a 10+ point win. I'm not saying that they're thinking that going into the game, but they know that there's a sense of urgency there where we have to take care of business tonight, because sometimes wins just aren't good enough. Again, they're not going to come out and say that, but like I do think there is something mentally to it where it just forces you to not overlook anybody and just think, how do we just get by this one?
Yeah, you're not necessarily just saying we got to win by 1. Your scoreboard is, all right, we're starting 10 in the hole or whatever. I mean, there is different ways to look at it, and
you're going to kenpalm.com. You're finding Ken Palm's number, and you're like, that's a good way to look at it. Okay, we're down 10 to start this thing. We have to eliminate
asked
it.
About tonight's game. I believe it's 11 on the Ken Palm number tonight, and Nathaniel Wilder has 9.5 is what the Vegas line is. And I think there's no perfect, whether they'll say it or not, Jay, I think there's no perfect more example than that, than like even in the Wyoming game. You're up 20 and there's 3 minutes left and you had 4 starters still in there.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's why some folks have wanted to get on Leon about maybe not playing the bench as much. It's a new age in college basketball. You just can't do that. You can't empty the bench, because if you win by 16 instead of 26, that stuff matters.
But that's also why I feel like Leon has found a way to work his bench into earlier in games, so that they make sure they put the hammer down late in games and finish off those wins in a strong fashion that really helps their resume.
Well, Jay, appreciate you jumping on. I know you're setting up on a vacation, so we appreciate you for giving us a net. Man, this job, there's no days off though in this job, as you know, man.
I thought we might hear something tomorrow-ish, and then it takes as you know, it takes one text. Makes you sit up in your chair. God bless my wife, who I thought I was gonna, take care of feeding the kids breakfast today. She took over that. And, it's crazy how things can kind of flip.
Well, if your phone's anything like mine, I got about 15 texts to respond to. So appreciate it, Jay. I know it's a busy day, but we appreciate it, and we'll be talking to you maybe Friday. We'll see what we work out here.
Sounds good, bud.
Thanks, man. There he is, Jay Tust. Appreciate him for joining us. We can keep this rolling for a couple more minutes. I'm in the lobby of the Colorado Springs Marriott. You can see there's the team bus over there off my shoulder right there. They're getting ready to load up. It looks like heading to their shoot around at the Clune Arena here in a little bit. I know a couple of you had asked. Yes, they are allowing fans for the game tonight. I know they have a wildfire on campus. And actually, by the way, it got super cloudy right now. I can't tell if it's snowing or what's going on, but it has been great weather down here. But right now, outside, I'll show you a quick view of the mountains. It is clouded up, and you can barely see the mountains much, to be honest with you, right there out the hotel window. But excited to be here. Big game tonight, and it looks like some snow flurries are starting to fall out there. But it's been a fun trip here with the team, and appreciate all of them for giving me the access to practice and the coverage and things like that, and always appreciate that. And I happen to be at the same hotel here, so we had some interviews and stuff on yesterday's show, and excited to see the game tonight. Boise State Air Force, and then obviously full coverage of Dirk Koetter becoming and returning as Boise State's offensive coordinator. I believe there'll be some media availability. Some of you have asked on that. I don't know when that will be. I don't know if that's going to be today, tomorrow. With my luck, it'll probably be today at some point while I'm still out of town, but hopefully they'll at least make it on Zoom or do it virtually on the phone until we get back. Obviously, tomorrow morning, my flight is about 9 a.m., but just crazy news. Again, you never know in this business what's going to happen, and you wake up ready to talk about a big basketball game, and then Dirk Koetter returns as OC. I'm sure Tim Duryea has some thoughts on Dirk Koetter returning as he's a fist pump from. Give him the fist pump there, Tim. There for one, somebody's excited about Dirk Koetter returning. Yeah, it's been crazy news, unexpected for sure, to say the least, and to have Dirk Koetter returning is it's sure going to make you want to get your popcorn out. I mean, it's certainly going to make this an exciting spring. And as we said, from a standpoint of making it work and making it fit, and in 10 days till spring practice starts, certainly he's going to be the most seamless fit, I think, from that standpoint. But I still think there's a ton of layers to this in terms of only being here for 1 year and what that does recruiting wise and everything else. And I'll be very curious kind of how this plays out publicly and what they're willing to admit or say. My understanding is this is just a 1-year deal, 1-year contract. Help us out right now, and then we'll do something else. And I do think someone earlier in the show mentioned the possibility of Boise State promoting either Matt Miller or Nate Potter after this year. I certainly think that is something that is possible at some point here. So I think that if you're trying to play this thing out, that's certainly one of the things. A lot of you were asking about Mike Sanford. Don't want to get into it too much yet. I have to talk to Mike again and kind of see what he's willing for me to say. So I'm just going to take that route for now. As you guys know, I do have a working relationship with him, a friend relationship with him, and I'm not sure what will come out or what should come out, and I don't want to say anything that I shouldn't at this point. So may have some more thoughts on whether or not he was or wasn't part of the process, or what he wants to say, but I don't want to burn any bridges there and say the wrong thing. So I'm just not going to say anything at all. And I'm not ignoring those of you that asked, but just not really sure how to handle that at this point, just to be completely honest with you. So somebody asked about Andrew Meadows 3. Yes, I actually have seen a picture of that. And it was 20 and it should have been 19. It was well across the line. They didn't even return it, review it. I can tell you that my understanding is it's a much more veteran officiating crew the rest of the season. So on a Saturday against Wyoming, you can't expect to get decent refs, but you got some big games coming up, and TV games. Those are always important for the big refs to get on TV. And they want the product to be, as good as possible. So I would suspect tonight you'll recognize a couple of the officials, and it's probably going to be better crews the rest of the season. The weekday games are always better. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you always get better refs because there's less games, especially on Tuesdays. The West Coast refs, there's not a lot of games on Tuesdays, so I would suspect tonight you'll have a much better officiating crew. Again, the game is at 7 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock, the pregame show. We'll be live at 6 o'clock. The Lithia Florida Boise pregame show, 6 o'clock. And by the way, you see it down there at the bottom of the screen. And again, we're not tooting our own horn by saying this, but Bronco Nation News did break the story. We were the first to report that Dirk Koetter was coming back as offensive coordinator. So even down here covering a basketball game and getting ready for a show, we were the first to get a story posted and have the news broke that Dirk Koetter was coming back. And so again, don't say that to pat myself on the back or brag, but you have certain choices you can go to with your money and your dollars for subscriptions and things like that. And when it comes to Boise State coverage, we would love if you're able to throw a couple of those our way, because we believe that the proof is in the pudding in terms of being the first spot folks think about and go to for their Boise State news. And once again today, I think that was evident by having the story up first and breaking the news on social media that Dirk Koetter was coming to Boise State. And obviously Jay Tust was shortly behind, and we were several minutes ahead of anybody else that are still kind of looking at it. So again, this being down here on the road, we're giving you good content. You're watching a free show right here, but this all does cost money for plane flights and hotels and things like that. So if you're able to help us out and you're approving of the product, we can do $6.99 a month, or you can just do a one-time fee of $50 if you use that code down at the bottom, BNN 50 deal. You'll get a daily email. I'm going to go back after this show and add to the story. I only had a couple paragraphs in there because I wanted to get it online really quickly. So now that this show is over, I'm going to or when the show ends, I'm going to go back and add to the story and give some more thoughts and bulk that up, and we'll send out an email. So subscribers get a daily email. You get exclusive access to some shows and things and giveaways and all kinds of stuff coming. And we have another very, very cool announcement that I think coming in the next day or two. Maybe on Friday we're going to announce that, but making history, BNN making more history, and we have another announcement coming in the next couple of days on that. And all this stuff costs money. So again, if you're able to help us, not trying to beg or brag or that we're good or whatever, and beg for your dollars, but again, $50 for a full year, BNN 50 deal. Use the promo code at the bottom. We'll take $20 off your first year. And Mike Prater, I can guarantee you, Mike Prater is writing a column on Spencer Danielson going with Dirk Koetter, and you want to read from Mike Prater. You have to go on. Oh, someone says Pete Thamel shouted me out as first. That'd be nice. I hadn't seen that. Usually that doesn't happen. So that would be nice if that's actually actually ends up being the case. How about that? We'll have to see if he gives me the. I don't see his tag on there yet. Maybe he did though. Hopefully he tagged my Twitter handle so I can get some more followers. But oh, there you go. Looks like at BJ Rains was first. There you go. I guess I did get it was in his second one. He says, can confirm they will hire. So it took him to his second tweet to get to it, not in the first news tweet, but I'll take it. Shout out from Pete Thamel of ESPN on Twitter. Yeah, I'll take that. So appreciate that, I guess, from him. Thank you, Pete. They don't usually do that very often. So that was great. So there you go. Appreciate that. Appreciate all of you guys for watching. Again, we are 2 weeks away from the pool party. I hope some of you are going to join me. I'm paying your cover charge, free cover charge to get in. All the games will be on TV. I'm going to have a private cabana for paying subscribers. You get some food, some drinks. We have a private pool just for everyone that comes as part of this group. You don't have to be a paying subscriber to get into the pool and hang out with us. They'll be doing Johnny and Prater's show there. My show will be there. It's going to be the best, biggest, most epic event Bronco Nation News has ever done. We're already over 100 people confirmed. So if you want to hang out with other Boise State fans and get ready for the semifinals on Friday, hopefully you'll make plans to join us. But again, you got to RSVP in advance, rains@bronconationnews.com. And we would love to have you. And as I said earlier, our golf tournament's coming up as well. If you played last year, email me and I'll save your spot. If you're the general public and you just want to play, we're going to put that on sale in a couple of weeks. We do expect it to sell out, so save the date and start putting your team together. And if you're interested in getting a spot early, we do have some sponsorship packages available. So if you want to sponsor a hole and have a chance to set up a booth and stuff at your hole and guarantee yourself a foursome that way, send me an email, rains@bronconationnews.com. And we got to try to get Dirk Koetter in this golf tournament now, I think. So we'll have to I know he's been interested in wanting to play before. So very curious there. And that he's back now. And, man, what a day. What a day. Dirk Koetter, not what I woke up expecting to. Sometimes you hear this stuff in advance and you write stories and you wait. I knew about the Stacey Collins thing for 2 weeks and had a story written and was waiting, and then it finally came out. But this one, literally in about 30 seconds, I got 2 texts and a call all saying the same name. And I was just like, are you serious? Dirk Koetter is coming back? Like, wow. So huge news. And when do they set the Mountain West tournament bracket? That'll be the next Saturday. We'll know that in about 12 days. Next Saturday night when the last conference game is played. Boise State's last game is Friday at San Diego State. There are some games on Saturday, including that Utah State-New Mexico game, which could have some big impact. So then we'll know all the game times and everything out there on Saturday night to get ready for the tournament the following week. So only 4 games left. certainly a big one tonight. The snow begins to fall here out the window. So we'll see what that does weather-wise here moving forward. But a couple of years ago, I remember there just being a ton of snow and getting snowed in, and that was a crazy time here. A couple of hey, there's Bob Beeler, by the way. We'll give him another shout out. Bob, they can see you. They're giving you another shout out here in the background. There he is, the great Bob Beeler, waving voice of the Broncos, getting ready as they get ready to leave for shoot around. And you can hear Bob and Abe tonight on the call. They'll be on KBOI at about 6:30, and then they'll have the game broadcast at 7. But you can start it off with us, Bronco Nation News, 6 o'clock tonight. We will be live. We'll have more reaction on the Dirk Koetter situation. We'll show you a live look at warmups of the basketball game. We'll hear from Leon Rice. Abe Jackson's going to join me live. So 6 o'clock tonight. Grab a couple of Cutwaters and make plans to join us at 6 o'clock on Twitter, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. If you can give us a little like on this broadcast, help us move a little higher in the algorithms and things, we would love that. If you can make sure you subscribe on YouTube, that's free and easy. And again, tell your friends, share these broadcasts, do whatever you can. And as I said, if you're at all able to help us out, $6.99 a month or $50 for the full year, we'd love to have you become a paying subscriber of Bronco Nation News. Because man, if you weren't already fired up about Boise State football in the future, and now with what the basketball team's doing, get in now, because Mike Prater, myself, all the exclusive content that we got coming, we're going to give you 24/7 coverage of the Broncos like nobody else will. So appreciate you guys for checking us out. Thank you so much again. Go subscribe if you can, like the broadcast, share the broadcast, and we will join you tonight. Make plans 6 p.m. from Clune Arena here at the Air Force Academy. The snow continues to fall a little bit thicker now. We'll see what the weather looks like throughout the day, but enjoy the rest of your day. Dirk Koetter back as Boise State's offensive coordinator. We'll have more on that. Again, the first story is up. The breaking news story that BNN broke is up on BroncoNationNews.com. But I will add to that and get some more details and things in there. We'll see if there's any media availability today with either Spencer or Dirk. I don't think the school's actually announced it yet. That I look at this, and I've missed Twitter obviously being on the show for the last hour or so. I don't think Boise State's officially announced this. They won't have any official comment until it's done and the background check and all the paperwork is done. So we'll see if that's today or tomorrow or when. But again, more details coming to BroncoNationNews.com throughout the afternoon, and then we'll be set up and live from Clune Arena, Air Force Academy. Boise State 3-0, 3 20-point wins in this stretch, but one more big one to go tonight before the final 3-game stretch here. So we'll see if the Broncos can get it done. Well, full coverage at BroncoNationNews.com. We will talk to you live on the Lithia Florida Boise pregame show from Clune Arena coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. And again, thanks for joining us. Record viewership here on a Tuesday morning. And we'll talk to you guys, in about 8 hours from Clune Arena. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bronco Nation News live here from the road at the Colorado Springs Marriott with the basketball team. BJ Rains, Bronco Nation News.